I have 11 participants here in the class. Yes. We'll start the class and wait for a few participants and then we'll start the class, okay? Within 2-3 minutes. Okay, we have waited and we only have 13 participants here in the class. So I'll just start the class. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Let's just not waste the time and start the lecture. Okay, so today we are going to study Diclosia, but before I start, I have given you a task to search, and that was to find what was lexicon. Yes. What is lexicon? I'm waiting for the answers.
Ma'am, just wait for a while. Let me check.
You'll search now. Wow.
And we just forgot it.
I just reinstalled my Zoom app and installed it again.
Okay, I'm waiting.
A complete set of meaningful units in a language.
Hmm. I didn't want definition. I can search definition myself as well. I wanted you to read on that so that you can understand. Remember, a question was asked by, I guess, Noor, that if you know a language but you cannot speak, what would become of that? Would it be the part of repertoire or not? And then I gave you that task. Okay, so I'm going to ask you people tomorrow in the class on Saturday, that is tomorrow, in the class. So the task is now again pending. This is your home task completed. Okay. Let's come towards diclosia. What is diclosia? Right? Diclosia. Here we have an example of a person who's uh, a bank teller, and that person knows two distinct varieties of German. What is very formal variety and what is very informal variety, and it has a lot of differences when they speak to one another in these two varieties. I hope you all are clear about what is code and what is code choice or what is variety choice when we speak a specific language. I've told you that two different languages are also codes and also varieties. You might have heard of British and American English. It means that we have these two varieties in when we talk about English. So within English, we have these two varieties. One is uh, British English, and one is American English, and these are the two varieties that are spoken. But when we talk about diclosia is the use of a distinct variety which is spoken by a community, which is spoken in a community. It is something which is related to the community. You might have heard the term bilingualism as well. Now when because as the word suggests, it's like two, right? So any two varieties, which are two distinctive varieties, which are uh, of actually of the same language, which are spoken by a community, which are present in a community and spoken by the community and understood by the community. One is regarded as the high variety and other is regarded as the low variety, right? We call that situation a diclosia. However, bilingualism is the quality of or the ability of knowing two languages. It can be by a speaker, right? So bilingualism, the difference between bilingualism and diclosia is that diclosia is basically among the community. We look at the community, that this community speaks these two different varieties or codes, right? These two different varieties in which we have one high variety and one low variety. So which is very obvious that high variety is used um, uh, uh, for the official purposes or for formal reasons, and low variety is used at home when you are not when you're communicating with your friends. That is the low variety which is used, right? Let me give you example of Pashto. There is one variety which is spoken in television, that is in TV news channels. That is the high variety of Pashto. And then there's this low variety which we normally speak as as in everyday language. We do not we even mix words, but uh, and for our own convenience, there are different words that we say which are not used. Even the word choices are different when it comes to a high variety, and when we talk about low variety. So low variety is normally used in everyday conversation, and like no one uses high variety in everyday conversation, because it's considered uh, odd, or it's considered different when you're using the high variety in everyday conversation. I hope it is clear so far what's the difference between high and low variety. There are differences. There are differences in pronunciation, in the choice of words, in like linguistically, they are related. They are linguistically related, but like for instance, Pashto that we use, the Pashto, we have different dialects of Pashto. The Pashto that we are using in everyday conversation is very different from what we read in books, or the poetry that we read in Pashto is very different, right? High and low variety can be different in a sense that maybe there is this one variety which was used in a long time ago, and it's slowly and gradually changed with the passage of time, and now it's completely different. So maybe a variety or a language which was in written form, yes, in written form, which was different. In written form it was give me a minute, okay?
Mama भी शुरू बंद कर दो वाइस से अंधे ही बकना पूरे मां बस लगा हुआ
Okay, I can hear you all. Okay, so
Milton Jaffrey.
okay, switch off your mics, please. Switch off your mics.
I don't know how to switch. Umar,
Is
switch
this
my-
Vakar, right? Vakar, switch off your mic.
Come से.
Mute my audio, mute.
Okay, got it.
Good. Okay, so when you have high variety can be a variety that is maybe used in written communication, and it is the old form of the language which has changed with the passage of time, and now it is now you have added different words. There are changes in the language, major changes in the language, and changes in the meanings of the words, changes in the structure of the sentences, and then you come and then you have a low variety which changes into low variety that you use in everyday conversation, right? So high variety and low variety can be formed in this way as well, and can prevail in a society, but in a community which is used by the community. And bilingualism is the ability of speaking two different languages. I hope it is clear so far. Any questions? Any questions?
No,
Okay.
it's clear so
And the
far.
last one is the
Okay.
Brazilian.
Okay. If you look at this exercise 5, you'll see that uh, it how do we speak a language in everyday conversation. So in every community, in every diclosic community, there's this use of high and low varieties. So for instance, if it is prayers or religion, or sermons that sermons is given by for instance by Maulvis and by clerics in mosques and in masajids. So if they are giving those sermons, which kind of Pashto are they using? Is it the everyday language Pashto, which is the high variety, or is it the low variety? And then same goes for the literature and novels, is the high variety or the low variety? In newspaper, obviously it's the high variety because it is more formal. TV news, what is the language that is used with it? Is the high variety or the low variety? Same goes for the education, that for instance, if you are sitting in the class and taking lectures, what is the variety that you're using? Is it the high variety or is it the low variety? But at the same time, when you are in schools and colleges, and you are in those domains, and in the reason is the same, that is education, what and you're having some discussions or everyday conversation with the teacher, then will you be using high variety or low variety? That would also vary from community to community, in diclosic communities. And when it is radio broadcasting, what would be the variety used, high or low? If you're shopping somewhere, would you use high variety or low variety? Or when you're gossiping, would you use high variety or low variety? So it's very obvious that for gossiping and shopping, we'll be using low variety, but it may vary from situation to situation, from community to community, and from diclosic communities, it would vary in different diclosic communities. There is this example of an Arabic speaker who learned classical Arabic, and when he came to the country, he was using a very formal or high variety of Arabic in everyday conversation. And everyone was telling him that people are going to see, it's written, his colleagues warned him that he would be laughed at or regarded as, it's like you'll be considered it will be considered funny when you are using a very difficult terminologies or language from a high variety, because we all know that high varieties are not normally used in everyday conversation or in everyday interaction. uh, we use low variety in everyday interaction. Give me a second. Yes.
समझाइए काशिफा इबा और इमड़ा गपशप पर किलक ढेर लगा वही
ये कौन है? Going to go on YouTube. Who is this? Informal language cannot be of high variety. Noor, if you have any question, please switch on your mic and ask. Because then I cannot see chat at the same time when I'm giving lecture. Anyone who has got any question, please switch on their mic, and when I ask you if there is any question, please ask question. Informal language is normally not high variety. It has a reason. You might have studied how we have this uh, standard language, and standard language is formed when it is spoken or used in education, in TV channel, in newspapers, in written form. So these are normally considered as high variety
Excuse me,
language
ma'am.
spoken. Yes.
Ma'am, if
Yes.
we are speaking one language and we are mixing the codes, for example, we are shifting our language from English to Urdu, so is it still the high variety?
No, you're code switching. It's not a variety.
Okay,
You're
ma'am.
code switching, right? Code switching is that you uh, you code mixing, that is you say code mixing or code switching when you say one sentence and then after that you use another sentence in a different language. It is very common with us. For example, if I ask you your name, what is your name, and then you reply in Urdu that mera naam ye hai, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
this is code switching. We are shifting from one language to another. This
Yes, ma'am.
diclosia is a situation in which two different varieties are spoken, varieties of the same language is used and understood by a community. Now if you look at here in Peshawar, if you look at Pashtun community, right? though
Yes, ma'am.
though we all are multilingual speakers, we are not bilinguals, or neither are we diclosic,
Yes.
right? So how would I you can give the example of this German person who's this this example, example number 5, I guess, this example here, right? That he uses, one is the local Swiss German dialect, which
Yes,
is
ma'am.
used in everyday conversation, right? And the other is the standard German, which
Yes.
he has learned at school, which is not the case with us. We do not learn Pashto at school. We do not study Pashto at school, so we don't know the high variety of Pashto,
Okay, ma'am.
or we cannot speak high variety of Pashto,
Yes.
right? So this can be used as an instance over here to make you understand that though the language is same, but one is the standard German that is learned at school, one is the local language that is spoken in everyday conversation, in everyday language.
Yes, ma'am.
Clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Let's go to,
Thank you, ma'am.
okay. Attitude towards high and low volatility in a diclosic situation. Now, what are the attitudes towards high? What is attitude? Attitude is something which is hypothetical. What is hypothetical? Hypothetical is something which you cannot guess, or which you cannot prove through concrete examples. That is, it can only be indirectly proved. Indirectly proved means that you can ask people questions about a language and what are their attitudes about the language. It attitude is something which determines, it's a kind of a feeling which determines your actions towards a language, right? Your thoughts to these are your thoughts towards a language. So are the attitudes positive, are the attitudes negative? We have positive and negative attitude, though we have nothing as neutral attitude towards a language, right? So what are the attitude, what is the attitude towards a language? So the attitude towards the language may vary in some cases, where two different, in a diclosic situation, someone would consider uh, high variety more prestigious. Now prestigious is something which is associated with prestige is something which is associated with education. We all psychologically give importance to education. So high variety is something which is prestigious and would enjoy high status in a society, and would enjoy high status in a society, right? So people normally admire high variety, right? And therefore your attitudes are more positive towards high variety as compared to the low variety. The reason being that it is the standard form of the language, the reason being that it is used in dictionaries, it is used in it is used in newspapers, it is used for the written purpose. That is why we consider high variety as more important or more prestigious than compared to the low variety, right? But at the same time, some people might also consider low variety as important, or as has positive attitude towards low variety, because you can express yourself well, you feel at ease. Uh, think of a situation where you have to use two varieties, and you have to think of words, and you are using very difficult terminologies. It's obvious that you'll have you won't have very positive attitude towards that. But with low variety, you feel at ease, you have it is you can express yourself well, you can express your feelings well. So that is why some people also give high value to the low variety. But the reason being that it is used in everyday conversation. There are a lot of studies on attitude. You can take it as a research topic, and you can study that what are the attitudes of speaker towards a specific language or specific dialect, and uh, how do they think about those people. Because language is closely linked, and your attitudes are closely linked with the people who are speaking these languages, that is with the speakers. It is very much linked uh, with the speakers as well. Reason is that when you are speaking when, for example, an educated person is speaking a language, or a very a person from a high class is speaking a language, it is very obvious that we'll consider the language of a high class as prestigious, because uh, we know that high class is given value in our society. Same is the case. For example, I'll give you, though this example does not completely fit over here, but just to make you understand what is uh, how this attitude is linked with speakers. For instance, someone is speaking very fluent English, and they seem like they just came from abroad, and they are foreigners, and their accent is like that. You'll be very much impressed by them, though they are speaking whatever they are saying is wrong, but still, just by the use of the way they are using the language, just by this use, you'll consider that language or prestigious or important, because uh, it is the language of someone who's speaking in English, and we consider anyone who speaks in English prestigious and more important. I hope it is clear.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, we'll continue this in the in the next week, inshallah, right? Though it's not that difficult, but I'll sum it up in the next week's lecture, right? We're left with just this: Diclosia with or without bilingualism, right? And I'm going to upload the assignment, as well as I'm going to share these links with you also. These are total of 3 links that I'm going to share on
Okay, ma'am.
LMS, right? So you can, the ones who have not taken the lecture, they can click that link and and listen to this audio.
That would be great.
Okay, thank you.
I
Have
will.
a good day. See you all
Okay, ma'am.
tomorrow, inshallah.
Inshallah. Allah Hafiz to everyone.
Allah.